Hello everyone, today I'm going to be doing an unboxing and review video of the Nextorch TA30 Max. I've just picked this up downstairs, really excited to get straight into it, and it has one of these tactical switches on the end, as you can see, but it also has a patented design with this kind of tactical ring. It's won an award for that, a Red Dot award in the past. It's also got this one-step strobe technology, which I've actually used before in one of the other Nextorch flashlights, the T10L, so I'm glad to sort of see this on here as well, the tactical design, and you can see just a few bits and pieces on the side. You've got some stats here on it. You've got nano ceramic window breaker, matte black surface, for better concealed usage. Got that 5-position rotating selector, one-step strobe, as I mentioned before. Now this one actually has an XHP 50.2 LED. Output again 2100 lumens. Also the FL1 standards here, so basically they measure the lumens at the 30-second mark. And also, you've got the drop standards and submergible to 2 meters, 5-year warranty. Like the box designs of these Nextorch flashlights, pretty nice and clean. Lots of information on them. So this is a tactical flashlight ring, the FR2 from Nextorch that they kindly sent to me as well. And it's something I've never used before, but I've always been curious to try. I'm sure this is going to make it very easy to take out of my pocket. And yeah, just for convenience use and for usage where you really need to just grab that flashlight, not be fumbling around in your pocket, I think this is a really cool little product. But let's see how it goes. I mean, you can see the little demonstration there. It sort of clips onto the edge of your pocket and you can pull it out almost like a trigger or something like that, and then have access to that tactical switch straight on the back. What's this, like hands-free? Okay, so you can kind of have it hanging from your finger. Let's have a look at what's inside the box. You can all the different modes on here as well. I'm not going to go too much into the specifications and everything like that. I'll touch on that later once I've used the flashlight for a week. So this is what's in the box, and put that aside. So nice Nextorch lanyard, and this one, the lanyard, doesn't have that Nextorch printing on it. The other ones I've had did have that branded Nextorch printing, so that's cool. It's kind of like a stock standard one. You've got the Nextorch 5000 milliamp hour battery that's included with this one, and let's have a look, 18 watt hours. It's also got the USB connector, so you can charge that that battery directly, so it mustn't have a direct charging port on the flashlight. O-rings as well. You get a little charging cable for the battery, and you've got an instruction manual here as well. So a quick look at that instruction manual. I mean, it's got pretty much the same things that's written on the outside of the box. There's just a little bit of a instruction here on how to access the different modes, how to install the battery, momentary on, and you've got also that 5-year Nextorch warranty details on there. It's very simple instruction manual. It's only 1 page. The rest of it's just translated in different languages. We'll put that aside. Okay, nice. That really feels quite nice in the hand. It's just that smooth, amazingly smooth Nextorch sort of anodization. It's probably one of the best anodization processes and finishes that I've seen out there on the market, and extremely durable as well. I mean, look at the construction of that. Even there's not even a nick, or they've really not skimped at all on the premium construction of this flashlight. And I really like this tactical ring here on the back, and I have used this before on my Nextorch T10L, which is an LEP flashlight, and it's great because you can sort of hold it at the back and then switch the modes like that, swap between pressing that button and switching. So the simplification of the UI is really important, I think, with tactical flashlights, because if you're in a situation where you need to activate that light very quickly, especially in an emergency situation, even for self-defense, you don't want to be fumbling around and trying to figure out what button does what. Your muscle memory kicks in and you just press that button down as hard as you can, and that's when you access something. I think you get strobe, one-step strobe. So let's go ahead and install the battery and see how it looks. Now this is takes the battery a separate way, double tube, insulation tube there. So you can see this is something that also another premium design that you don't see on many flashlights. So for better electrical conductivity. And here you've got that copper ring at the back as well. So the button actually faces up, so the positive terminal faces up, and then you sort of just screw it in. Okay. Great. Okay, so we've got it on tack. So tack mode, half press that button. Fantastic. And oh, it's kind of hot, the beam. So it's quite bright. And look at that LED, that XHP 50 LED just sort of sitting at the bottom. It's difficult to see so well. Maybe if I turn the flashlight like this. It's quite a decent sized die surface. This looks like maybe 5 by 5 millimeters or something like that in there. Turn it on low mode. Okay, so you can just switch that little ring, low, medium, high, and strobe mode. So yeah, tactical, low, medium, high, and then strobe. Very simple. Press that button halfway to access high, and then fully press, you get that strobe mode. So wow, very clean design. I quite like it. Let's grab this ring out. This FR2 tactical ring. Curious to see how this will attach on. Oh, there it is. That's all. Just a little secured there by a little tie. There we are. So yeah, so you've got this kind of metal bit here, a bit of steel bit that sort of clips on to the flashlight there. So I guess I just do that, and oh, here we go. And yeah, that's interesting. I've never used something like this before, but yeah, I'm going to be using this over the next few weeks and keeping it in my pocket, and it feels very sturdy. It's made of nylon, and obviously the ring is steel, but it's got a very, very durable look to it and feel to it as well. It does seem to jut out a fair bit. I don't know how this is going to look sort of sticking out of my pocket all the time, but I think, you know, for practicality purposes, this is going to do great, because I do find sometimes when you're reaching for that torch, you're sort of fumbling around too much. And of course, I've got this lanyard as well, which I will attach on. Oh, there's a little space here that you can put the lanyard on as well through the tactical ring. So you can see just a little hole there. So I've got this bezel with these ceramic beads there as well. So all in all, I'm really impressed at how this flashlight comes across, the quality, yeah, just the overall functionality of the UI so far. I've not had to even look at the instruction manual to figure out what this light is about. It's very intuitive. Feels great. So I'm going to be using this flashlight for some time, probably use it for just over a week, and do some beam shots, come back afterwards and let you know my final thoughts. Nextorch TA30 Max, and this is on low, the low mode. Okay, pretty decent. I can see fairly well, even with this low mode, up to about 50 or so meters. Jump onto medium like this, and high. Lots of flood, mainly flood, but a stronger concentration in the center. I find the XHP 50.2 is just significantly better thrower than the XHP 70.2, but you still get a good amount of flood as well. Switch it onto tack mode, so just tactical mode, and press that button halfway, and this is how quick it just takes to activate it. And hold it down and you get strobe, but of course just using that ring, that tactical rotation ring, you can leave it on like this. TA30 Max. This is on low, medium, and high. Quite a lot of spill at XHP 50.2. Does have a little hotspot in the center. There's a lot of people walking around over here in this park. Try not to disturb them, but it's difficult. So much flood on here. Start walking forwards. Welcome back to the video, everybody. I wanted to go through some of my final thoughts now that I've used this flashlight for over a week now, and there's a few things I noticed. I did a few measurements as well using my Opal Lightmaster Pro. I've already gone through what was included in the box, what you get with the flashlight, so I won't go through that again, but I will talk about a few other things, starting with the design and the build quality. As always, I'm so impressed with Nextorch's designs, just their grade of construction as well with their flashlights. I mean, just taking a look at it, you can see how well built this thing is. I mean, if you have a look even at the cutouts for the bezel, this little checkered design here as well, and all the way down to the anodization, this smooth, black, kind of chalky anodization. Feels like you're using and holding a professional tool compared to some other flashlights. It's really like night and day if you put a $20 or $30 flashlight next to this one, and obviously you're paying a premium for that. So it's high quality military grade construction, and I know Nextorch also create flashlights for law enforcement agencies around the world, so they do need to be of a high standard to meet up to the demands of their job. Normally with these flashlights that have a high powered LED in them, notice that they have quite significant cutouts near the head, but this one you don't get too much of it. It's quite a subtle design. There's these little, I don't know if you'd even call them fins, they're more of this anti-roll thing that you get with a lot of flashlights. The head just has these little cutouts in them, so it makes it difficult to roll around. But the interesting thing is how well it handles heat, even though there's not any particular cooling fins there increasing that surface area. But I'll talk a bit more about that later. Again, I think I mentioned before, but you can't disassemble this flashlight. Nextorch, it seems to be a thing with a lot of these Nextorch flashlights. I've tried taking them apart. You probably can if you have the right tools. I've seen a few people use, I don't know what they are, like a type of wrench to open up these type of flashlights that are sealed. But yeah, it's not recommended, especially because it voids the warranty. So for those of you who are looking at tinkering around with these flashlights, opening it up and kind of modifying them, it's not really a thing that's going to be very easy. But again, this is a very kind of purpose-built flashlight, and it's meant to be used as is. So I mentioned before at the start of the video, the flashlight comes with this 21700 cell. You can see that USB port there on the side. So you need to take it out of the flashlight to charge it. There's no external port to be able to charge the battery while it's inside the tube. I did try an unprotected 21700 cell and it actually works, but it does feel loose, sort of rattles around a little bit, but there is no flickering. I know some of these lights, if you put in if you put an unprotected cell, it does work, but it sort of loses contact with with the back of the switch. So it doesn't happen here. Now in terms of the LED, it has an XHP 50.2 emitter in it, and I think this is a great little emitter, especially looking at the beam shots before. You'd see that it's got a pretty good combination of throw and flood. And I do have a couple of flashlights with the XHP 70.2, but I find that they don't have much of a hotspot at all unless you have a really gigantic reflector in there. It's pretty much mostly flood. And with tactical flashlights, I think it's important to have a level of throws. So I mean, if you're anticipating maybe going down I don't know, like a dark road or in a forest or down an alley or something like that, you want to be able to see a little bit further to know what's up ahead. So I do think that's important to have in a tactical flashlight. Throwy flashlights are more of my thing as well. It's more of a personal preference. I think it's really cool that the TA30 Max comes with this stainless steel bezel and ceramic beads in there. I don't know if I'll ever be using it. Hopefully I won't have to use it. And, I was looking to see if I could find a bit of glass or something I could try it on. And I don't have a bit of glass, but it would be great to see how it actually, how effective it is at breaking glass. I've seen a video that Nextorch put out with this being demonstrated, the bezel being demonstrated breaking a car window, but you're going to have to look that up. I can't remember where it is. Inside, you've got that orange peel reflector, as you can see, so it sort of evens out that beam, especially when you've got a larger LED like that as well. Orange peel reflectors lead to a nicer beam, in my opinion, a little bit more smoother, and you do sacrifice on some throw, but for practicality, I think it just looks a little bit nicer. You've got also an AR, anti-reflective glass lens as well on the front to protect the flashlight. Would be cool to see, and especially if Nextorch were willing to make a smooth reflector version as well, because as I said before, I'm quite interested in throwy lights these days. But with that said, this one does throw pretty far considering how small the head is, and with the orange peel reflector. So one of the things I really love about the TA30 Max is the intuitive UI. It's just so simple, so easy to use, especially when you compare it to something like an Andil 2 UI, which just has so many different functions. And if you're thinking about a torch that you just pick up, you can figure it out intuitively. This is the type of UI that you're looking for, especially if you're in a situation where you're focusing on something else, or you're even in an emergency situation where you don't want to think too much about how to turn on the flashlight. So let's just go through a little bit about how this light works. So starting from that switch at the end, that tactical switch, if you press it halfway, it goes straight to turbo, and press it fully, you have this flash strobe mode. So it's really a one-step strobe mode, which is amazing. I mean, just to press that button fully. So you might be in a situation where you could be panicking, not really thinking about how to switch on the light or anything like that. I mean, just being able to press that button fully and access that strobe mode is really useful. And it's cool that you can also access that turbo mode straight from pressing that switch halfway. So it is a true tactical flashlight. I think being able to access turbo mode through momentary, like a half press of that button, is really, it's just an essential feature that you need in a tactical light. Another really cool feature is this tactical ring here, and you can see at the moment it's on tack. I've not seen a flashlight that uses this type of ring feature as well. And if you go, say, move it there, it goes to 1, which is like the low mode, and then you can move it again, that white dots, medium, high, and then back onto strobe again, and then there tack, so tactical mode. So it just puts that flashlight again back into standby so that you can access all those, turbo and strobe mode. Cool thing is that through any of the other modes, so say if I'm on that low mode like that, I can actually access turbo again through a half press, and then that one step strobe. So you can do that through all those settings. It doesn't really do anything on the strobe function if you flick it all the way to constant on strobe. But it's good to know that if you are, if you're just using the low mode, just walking around, you suddenly need to use that high mode for a second or so, you've got that ability to switch into that rather than fiddle around with this tactical ring and try to find that high mode. So easy to use and really doesn't require much thinking, which is, I think, really crucial again in a tactical flashlight. So in terms of performance, Nextorch have rated this light at 2100 ANSI lumens. So what that means is that the lumen output is measured at the 30-second mark to make sure that it does hit that 2100 lumen mark. I think that's important because a lot of flashlights, you turn them on and they automatically start ramping down, so they may theoretically hit 3000 lumens or something, but that's only for a second or two before it starts significantly ramping down. In some cases they even go down to like 100 lumens. So it's good to know, because with a tactical flashlight you'd expect this, and even just a general flashlight, to be able to hold its brightness for a significant period of time. I know it's a small light, and a lot of lights of this size, you can't expect them to hold the high lumens for very, very long. Inevitably it does ramp down. The smaller body is not able to dissipate as much heat as, say, a much larger body, but being able to last at least 30 seconds on max lumens is quite impressive for this flashlight. So one thing that I noticed while I was using this flashlight is that the beam has some artifacts on the edges, and that's due to the shape of the bezel. You can see it's sort of just this interesting shape, and the cutouts and things like that as well. So it doesn't really bother me, but it does have sort of funny wonky edges, I guess, and it's just a byproduct of the additional functionality of this glass breaking tool. I would much rather have this here as a precaution, and in case I need it. So I did a quick ceiling bounce test with the TA30 Max, and I was really pleased to find that ramp down was at 1 minute 40. So it holds its max lumens up until 1 minute 40. So really quite impressive. That exceeds the ANSI standards. In terms of longevity, so you've got 2100 lumens on high. That will last you 2.5 hours. If you're on the medium mode, 6 hours, and low, 23 hours. It would have been good if the light had a moonlight mode on there, only because I'm just used to having access to that at night, and during certain situations where I don't want to even have it on that low mode. That low mode might be too bright. But again, this is a light that's really purpose built, and if they start cramming in all these other functions and modes and things in there, kind of defeats the purpose of having a tactical light in the first place. So in terms of throw, Nextorch have rated this light at 250 meters. Now I've used my Opal Lightmaster Pro, and I actually got 282 meters consistently as well. So just using that tactical mode. And at some points, I think at one stage I got 300 meters, but that was once off. But yeah, roughly about 280-ish meters is very common with this flashlight. But roughly around the 280 meter mark is very achievable with this flashlight as you're using that tactical mode. So I do find Nextorch always seem to understate their specs. So it's really good to see that does overperform. I really like the feel of this flashlight, and especially with this tactical ring as well. I've never used one of these before, and it sort of clips on the outside of your jeans. It's a little bit, especially if you're walking around in the city or something like that, it certainly sticks out a little bit. But if you're out in the country, or if you're just wanting to have a more practical option handling the light, can't beat it really. It's just so easy. It sticks out of your pocket and you just put your finger through there and then you just lift it out. Whereas if you're just using the normal clip, you have to kind of grab onto it in your pocket. It's a little bit more fiddly, whereas the ring actually sticks out of your pocket entirely and allows you to quickly grab that flashlight. It's also easy, so if you can hold the flashlight like that and maybe use your phone, just gives you a few more options on how to handle the flashlight in the first place. Would have been good if Nextorch included just a normal clip here in the end. Unfortunately, the light did not come with its own clip. You can buy them separately though. Good thing about this light as well is that it doesn't have any buttons on the side or anything there so that it's going to accidentally turn on in your pocket. The switch always sticks out slightly from your pocket, and it's also slightly depressed as well. You can see on the side here it's kind of shielded, bit of a these two bits that jut out on the end to make sure that you don't accidentally hit it, or makes it less likely anyway. There's no risk of it switching on in your pocket. I do find that the head is a little bit bulky, and if you're fitting it like straight in your pocket, you're definitely going to feel it in there. Like most people, I wear jeans everywhere, and this light, for me anyway, fits completely fine in my pocket. I mean, you've got other lights that are 18650 lights, or even 14500 lights, which are a lot smaller, but they do produce less lumens and are probably less practical in the long run, because they just won't be able to hold their high modes for very long, or just run out of juice quickly. If you want to know a bit more about the measurements I've taken for this light, just have a look down in the video description, and I'll have a link there to my website where you can view things like the color rendering index and the CCT as well. So overall, this is an impressive tactical flashlight from Nextorch. It's actually my favorite tactical flashlight these days. I really like how it's purpose built for practicality, easy access, and emergency self-defense situations. Just not having to think too much about how to turn the light on. It's just really simple. I really like the addition of this glass breaking bezel and also the rotating tail cap switch. They're features that you don't find normally on other tactical lights, especially together. I like the beam profile and how it has a significant amount of throw, as well as decent spill, so that you can see your surroundings, see what's on the ground, and still be able to also see what's far ahead of you. So I recommend the TA30 Max if you're looking for a serious tactical flashlight. I'm going to leave the link in the description if you want to have a read about it. You can purchase it from the Nextorch website. And if you have any more questions and things like that, just let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. If you enjoyed this video, you found it helpful, do me a favor and click the like button so I can get my videos out to more people. And if you want to see me make more reviews, make sure you subscribe.